What's up, guys? My name is Matt, and for the past 10 years, I'm what people referred to as an alcoholic. And I mean, to be fair, I was, by definition. I drank heavily for over 10 years, and today I want to share with you my experience with not drinking alcohol for about 1 year and counting now. I'm going to split this video into three parts. In the first section, I'm going to talk to what life was like before I stopped drinking. Then what I'll do is I'll talk to you a little about the transition period I went through. And finally, I'm going to share with you what life was like after not drinking for about 1 year and counting now. So before I stopped drinking, what was life like? So I've always been pretty down when it comes to alcohol, and that's to put it extremely lightly. For anyone watching this that knows me personally, you know I've had some dark times when it comes to alcohol. For me, it starts out with me making a promise to moderate my drinking. I'd either promise myself this would be the last time I drink, or I'd make a promise to only drink a certain amount of times, like only on weekends. And no matter what the promise was, I would always break it. But then I would just make a new promise to overwrite my old promise and tell myself everything will be okay. Like, this is the insanity of my mind, right? And sure, I had some bad influences, yet ultimately the decision came down to me to drink. And then I can't get out of this cycle. Like, I'm getting hammered every night, and it's a domino effect. Like, I drink and everything goes out of control. Like, my relationship with my family and friends gets worse, my relationship with work, if I got a significant other at the time, that goes out the window, and everything goes to hell. And not everyone's experience with alcohol is like this. I've just done enough times to realize I have a problem with alcohol. And yeah, sometimes drinking can turn to other things, but I don't want to go into that in this video. I just want to talk about my experience with alcohol. So what actually happened is, and I've never actually shared this before, but this all started over a decade ago. Now, I was still drinking when I graduated college at 23. I basically wound up drinking like an animal, like to the point even I realized I had a problem. So I went to AA throughout college to try to get control of my drinking with no success. With the AA meetings, I remember I felt very shameful going there. Like, all of a sudden I had this disease that I had no control of. Like, did not sit well with me. I remember the first two steps were a deal breaker, which are one, to admit powerlessness, and two, believe in a higher power, which to me has nothing to do with quitting drinking, and I'm not really religious. And these were the only available options to me going back to 2009, aside from rehab, which in case you didn't know, all rehabs are just an extended stay version of AA. And I mean no disrespect, like, my mom's been sober for 15 years going to AA, and I've met a lot of good people there, and I know it works for a lot of people. It's just not for me. Well, anyways, at 23, I just graduated and got a job in recruitment. And the drinking culture was pretty crazy there. Like, everyone at the office drank, and drinking seemed to pretty celebrate throughout the office. But to be fair, I did drink a lot more than everyone else, and I would even drink by myself. So anyways, within a few months, my drinking was starting to get so out of control. I was coming in hungover, missing days, and I was eventually let go. So at this point, I wanted to come up with a career change that could turn into a business, but also accommodate my drinking. So I decided to transition to the painting industry and paint houses with the plans of starting a painting business. And the painting industry didn't let me down in terms of finding drinkers. It just wasn't celebrated like it was at my office job, mainly because you had either people drinking every day or recovering alcoholics, like not much in between. So fast forward, and within a year, I'm working full time as a professional painter, and I'm starting to take jobs on the weekend for my LLC. But everything wasn't fine. Once again, I wanted to quit drinking, so now I didn't want a culture that accommodated my drinking. So I figured what better than to work a remote job by myself. So I quit my painting job and painting business, and I taught myself web development, and I got a job as a web developer. So this is what happens when I drink alcohol, is I have to go back in life and start again from the beginning. Like, sometimes a little bit of a progression, but not near where I should be. So I get back in, and my plan is to keep this job and progress up the ladder a bit until I can come up with my next business idea. And what happened is, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I hit a rock bottom. I had a drink one night, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I woke up in the morning, I just thought, like, if I keep doing this, like, I'm going to lose everything. Like, I had so much shame, so much guilt, and was just done. Like, and it was like this rock bottom moment of clarity, if you will. Like, I had been AA, NA in the past. I knew any of that this time. So I woke up, had this massive realization, just stop cold turkey. And it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. And I sincerely mean that, like, from the bottom of my heart. Anyway, I got back in shape, I got engaged, and I just started winning again. And it was the rock bottom and moment of clarity that got me to transition. So now that I told you what alcohol was like when I was drinking alcohol and a bit about the transition period, I just want to tell you what life was like after not drinking for 1 year. And it is sweet. It's literally the happiest I've been in my life since I was maybe a child. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I just know when I don't drink, I'm a completely different person. Like, I'm not trying to sound cocky, but like, the differences are night and day. So what is life like now that I'm not drinking? Well, for one, my relationship with my family, friends, and loved ones is at an all-time high. For once in my life, I actually feel like I'm in full control of my life. Like, I'm no longer my own worst enemy. So that's been life-changing. And I'm sleeping better. I'm not spending ridiculous amounts of money. And the productivity is the best thing. Like, that alone is reason enough to quit drinking. Man, my anxiety's gone down. Also, like, night and day. I don't get these waves of depression, and I'm a lot more emotionally stable. And I'm just so happy. Like, this is the longest I've gone in my life without alcohol, and I will never drink again. And it's like this weight off my shoulders. I cannot explain it. I cannot emphasize it enough. And the craziest part is, like, I don't even remember the exact day I quit. Like, imagine that. Like, over 10 years of counting the days, one day at a time, and the time I actually get sober, I don't remember the date. Anyways, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care.